Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's Microsoft 365 ISV Showcase, Collaborative Apps in Microsoft Teams. My name is Peggy, and I'm going to be your moderator and host today. The modern workplace is evolving with complex customer needs and new partner business models. Microsoft Teams and Microsoft Viva are the digital fabric for collaboration that seamlessly weave together data, people, and artificial intelligence, enabling people to be tightly connected to communicate, collaborate, create, and innovate in new ways, all in the flow of work. Today, we'd like to welcome Xoxoday to share how their Microsoft Teams apps can equip your team with the right tools for remote collaboration. Our speakers today are Mayank Singh, Senior VP for Production and Operations for Xoxoday. Mayank will share how HR organizations use Empuls as a recognition module that makes hard work and teamwork visible to everyone. Thank you all again for joining us. All right, everybody. So I am going to now hand off to Mayank to talk about Empuls for Team.
Thanks, Becky. I hope my screen is shared and visible now, and I
Looks
can
great.
get started.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me here today. I'm going to talk about Empuls, which is an employee engagement solution that sits directly on top of MS Teams, integrates really deeply, and allows you to do holistic engagement within the flow of work. So as we get started, I'd like to draw attention, first of all, to the overall macroeconomic condition prevalent within the US. And I would say that this might probably be applicable to a bunch of other geographies in the world as well. In general, the number of engaged employees at the workforce has gone down over time in the recent past, what with quiet quitting and all of that. And at the same time, the US specifically is going through the lowest unemployment rates over the last several decades. So not only is it very difficult to just hire people that you need for your work, but it's also more difficult to retain them. And the costs of involuntary attrition, or rather voluntary attrition, is quite high. I mean, you spend almost twice or thrice the annual salary of a person to be able to replace them with someone who could come in and start contributing again at the same level. So this is a very big problem that employers across not just the US but across the world are facing today, and hence employee engagement becomes a critical problem to solve in general for any organization whatsoever. With that, the challenge that typically happens is the needs for employee engagement for each different persona within the organization changes from who you are. Like, employees on the one hand feel like they're not appreciated, they don't feel heard, that they don't know how their work aligns with the overall organizational goals, and so on. People managers, on the other hand, feel like they don't have the right tools or the capabilities at their disposal to be able to do this in a simple and easy fashion. HRs are looking for good solutions where they'd be able to set things up easily and simply, but they struggle to find the right ways to run these programs. And finally, business leaders, they obviously care about hitting their revenue targets, but at the same time, they need to make sure that this happens through a motivated, engaged, and productive team. So how do they make all of that happen? How do all these pieces link back together in a holistic and simple way, right? And to solve that problem is why we built Empuls. So as a solution, Empuls allows you to create your recognition programs in a simple and easy way. You could get started very simply and then keep building on top of that, figuring out what's working or what's not, etc. And you could also collect feedback through Empuls at a granular level for, let's say, just your small team, or you could do it for the entire organization and use that feedback to keep making improvements, right? So all of these capabilities also sit well within just MS Teams as a solution which already provides you a great collaboration solution. And the two together become a great way to tackle the whole issue of employee engagement, so that you are able to take all of these initiatives directly within the flow of work. Empuls and MS Teams together have been partnering for more than 3 years now. So we have a deeply integrated solution, which I'll soon get into so that I can show you around how it works. And yeah, with that, let's get to see it. This is the MS Teams app, the Empuls app on MS Teams. The installation of the app can simply be done by any admin by just jumping into the app section. You can directly search for it here and the results show up. or we also show up prominently within the productivity section. So you could just go and install it from there as well. Once the app is installed, and you can decide which teams you want to install this on. So for instance, you could have social walls where all of your organization is added, so that any appreciation is as social as possible. Everybody gets to see it. But then you also have the configuration or capability to do it by teams or by regions or by geographies. So each individual geography could have their own recognition wall. In our case here, this is the general setup where every single employee within the organization is a part of. And to be able to enable recognition within this, all you have to do is go click on the Empuls icon at the bottom and get started with it. We'll look at one example of how appreciation and recognition would work in this scenario. So let's look at that quickly. So as the first step, as you get started on the path of appreciation, and this is for any employee in general, they have to pick who they want to appreciate. The names of the different people in the organization would show up here helpfully. You could pick any of these and get started. I'm going to start by trying to appreciate Amy today. And then once I have selected Amy, you get a list of all the core values or awards that are configured on the system, which can be given out to Amy. So in this case, there are a whole bunch of them, and I feel today that Amy has done a great job on the team, the two of us working together, and there's something I want to appreciate her for. However, please know that you could configure different kinds of awards. For instance, this President's Award here requires an approval flow. I could nominate Amy for this award, and then it would need to go to someone else within the hierarchy for them to approve it based on the validation or justification I provide for Amy. Additionally, you could do non-monetary appreciation as well, where there is no need for providing any reward points, but it still works just as well, right? To keep things simple, like I said earlier, I'll just jump into a flow where I'm going to just directly give Amy a one-on-one peer-to-peer award. Once we step into this flow, I also have the ability to go ahead and add a nice citation message for Amy to tell her specifically what was the reason that I'm giving her this award. The more you make this in the moment and for specific reasons, the better it works. You could also additionally use one of these AI generated options to maybe get started with building a citation, and then create and curate something which is more specific. I'll just use the simple way out here for the purposes of this demo here. And then once I hit share appreciation, this will get posted on the appreciation wall. Right. So, and this is for everyone to see. So anyone in the organization can now jump in and start looking at this and participating in this. They could react through these emojis or emoticons here. They could just jump in and say, congratulations, Amy, and so on. And so it becomes a very nice experience for Amy and even for the others to understand what kind of values they should be displaying day in, day out to be receiving the same kind of appreciation as Amy. Outside of this, again, admins can configure the app to appear for all of the employees within the organization, and that brings everything together under one place. Within the chat section, you helpfully get reminded about various things you should be doing as a participant in your recognition and engagement programs, which could include responding to surveys that somebody might have asked you to respond to, or give an award, or just say, hey, there is this other person who received an award and maybe I should just go share my encouragement with the same person. So really, you don't have to step out of MS Teams to be able to do any of this. There is a separate web app for Empuls where admins have to go and configure their programs, but that's a one-time thing, and then it all helpfully flows back within the MS Teams interface itself. If you wanted to look at the various things that you are participating in within Empuls, you could also switch over to the Home tab here. I'm logged in through an admin interface or an admin account right now, so I would see a few extra things compared to an average user. Some of the things that you might see as an average user are related to you being part of reviewing nominations. Somebody needs your approval for taking a nomination forward and making sure that somebody receives an award. It could also be any survey or quiz related invitations that you've received so far that people are waiting to collect feedback on, right? And you could do this yourself, by the way, as well. Additionally, you also are able to see who is celebrating a birthday or a work anniversary. So you could again go and wish them on the specific day. And you could invite or share a welcome message with any new person who's joined your team recently. All of that shows up very helpfully within one common place. Admins, in addition, would have this extra section through which they can go and configure all the programs. This would take them out back into the Empuls web app interface, but this helps them configure programs completely based on the specific needs of their own organization. And in that respect, Empuls is quite robust and configurable because we understand that every organization is different and would need different capabilities, different values and things for which they want to appreciate their employee and so on. Right. Finally, you also get access to your reports and insights directly within MS Teams if you wanted. This again is available both for you as an individual, as a people manager, or finally as an HR or a leader, as to what's working, what's not, so that you can use that to further improve action and decision making for your recognition programs. Like I mentioned earlier, you might receive reward points as a part of the recognition flow. Anybody who has any points available with them could simply jump into the reward store here and go and buy any of these catalog items for those points. Some of these options here, as you see on top, are things that you could configure directly for your own organization. So these could be very, very custom to you, and you can switch them on or off depending on whether you want to make them available to your team or not. Outside of that, though, there is an extensive catalog of gift cards from prominent brands across the world, and you could go and click any of these and go ahead and make a purchase. So for instance, I could, depending on the number of points I have, it looks like I have a bunch of points here that I could use, and I can select a denomination, and if I hit this button here, I would get an email with the Target gift card code that I can go and use at Target. It's really simple that way. Also, most of these catalog items are instantly delivered, so the entire fulfillment process takes seconds. And that completes the demo when it comes to rewards and recognition. Admins, like I said earlier, have a bunch of capabilities which are available directly within the web app, which they can go and work with and configure listening mechanisms, surveys, quizzes, etc., which would again helpfully get delivered directly within MS Teams interface. As an organization, we've been around for more than a decade now. We've had 3,000 plus customers over that time frame. We have 23 offices across the world. Overall, we did $200 million plus revenues in the last year. So we do have a bunch of success behind us to be able to build something credible and to rely on. There are about 1,000 organizations which are currently using Empuls, with 2 million employees spread out across the globe. Our business is really global. We are, as a solution, we are present across about 50 plus countries today, and we are very highly rated on G2 and similar websites. Yeah, and if you need to try it out, Empuls is available for a free trial directly within the MS Teams App Store. I would urge you to go ahead and try it out yourself. No questions asked, no credit card needed. Happy to take any questions.
All right. Thank you so much for that great information, Mayank. We've had some interesting questions come in through the chat window, but I would like to take a few minutes to ask you some of the common questions you hear about Empuls for Teams. So why Empuls?
That's a great question, Peggy. Like I was saying at the start of my presentation here today, the biggest challenge that organizations face today is that the reasons for disengagement can be many, and there's no single solution to be able to tackle that. What Empuls does well is brings a bunch of those most common reasons for disengagement into one common platform, which includes just being able to listen to what your employees are struggling with, being able to enable communication, a direct line of communication between people managers and their teams, or being able to just make people feel like they are appreciated for the work that they do. All of those things get done within the same common app instead of you having to struggle with multiple different apps, each for one unique need, and then it makes it holistic and seamless as an experience for end users, which is why Empuls typically with our customers, we see participation rates of anywhere between 80 to 95% per month.
Awesome. That's great. So can users slash admins access all of Empuls' functionality from MS Teams without having to go to the Empuls web app frequently?
That's correct. Most of what is available on Empuls, especially for end users, can be accessed directly within MS Teams. They don't have to step out at all. When it comes to configuring the program itself or running, let's say, periodic surveys and so on, is when admins will have to periodically step into the web app and make sure that the program continues to flow within MS Teams in the right way.
Okay, one final question for you. What does the Empuls product roadmap look like?
So in terms of, we continue to make a lot of improvements. In the near future, we are also adding a bunch of capabilities around collaboration, alignment, and adding things around benefits and wellness. So again, these are things that are that keep coming up as areas of concern. Since we are ingrained into this for a while now, we understand the kind of feedback we are getting in general from our customers, and based on that, we define our roadmap to focus on the most pressing areas that need attention, and those are the things that we are building out.
All right, that's wonderful. Well, we really appreciate the additional information. So thanks again for your presentation, Mayank. We've now come to the end of today's session. So thank you very much for your participation there. Please be sure to go to AppSource to check out Empuls Now, the latest apps for Microsoft Teams. So I'd like to extend a big thank you to all of our presenters and our audience for logging in and joining today. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.